Hello, Seiiti Arata. These days our society is polarized. We get angry at each other because of so many different topics. Political views, dietary choices, how to educate children, how to stay healthy, what is appropriate or not to say on social media, and so on. Now, because of this, there is a high chance that you're dealing with a lot of conflict in your family, and this can take a toll on your mental health. Sometimes you feel like you're out of options and you just want to stop interacting with the difficult people in your family. But I want to let you know that there is one thing that you can do to help improve the situation. Countenance. Countenance is a simple way to show that you value and you accept someone. And it can lead to more productive, more positive interactions. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with their point of view. You just need to acknowledge that they have been hurt. So let's go into more detail on how you can use countenance to create a more peaceful atmosphere with your family and start seeing improvements in difficult conversations. Stop interrupting people. Practice active listening. Wait for them to finish and use your body language to show that you are engaged. Interrupting people is never polite, and yet we do it so often. Even if you're very happy and positive and excited and you want to actually contribute to something that the other person has just said, remember that other people cannot read your mind or your emotions. So even if you have the best intentions, they may still feel annoyed by your interruptions. And the worst situation is when interrupting people is felt by the other person as rude and disrespectful. This is the moment when the quality of your conversation immediately gets worse. This is when the interruption sends a message that the thoughts and the opinions of the other person are not as important as yours. You can even make them feel like their voice isn't being heard or that you feel superior to them. There is one extra problem. Interrupting others will backfire. Because when one person interrupts another, it can create an environment in which it is acceptable for others to interrupt as well. And this can lead to a dynamic in which nobody is actually interested to hear the other person. There will be two separate monologues disputing over who can be the loudest. So in order to stop interrupting people, here are 3 simple tricks. First, practice active listening. This means that you're giving your full attention to the person you're talking to. Make sure to listen to what they have to say. Don't let your mind wander. Second, wait for the other person to finish speaking before you jump in. This will show respect for the other person and their ideas. Third, use body language to signal that you're listening. Make eye contact, nod your head, smile to show that you're engaged in the conversation. So there you go. These 3 simple tricks can help you to avoid interrupting people. By practicing active listening, waiting for the other person to finish speaking, and using your body language to signal that you're listening, you can now show respect and understanding for the other person. Allow others to feel heard and appreciated without judgment. We all have a tendency to judge others. It is almost an instinctive reaction to think that others are wrong or bad, and that our own opinion is right. But that judgment leads to a lack of understanding and prevents us from seeing the person in front of us in their fullness. See, when we judge someone, we take away their autonomy. It's similar to treating adults as if they were children who don't know better. And this alienates people, especially if they have already going through a difficult situation and they're just looking for support. Sometimes we want to help and then we start to give advice, explaining what they should have done differently, isn't it? But if they didn't ask for advice, this can be perceived as judgmental and will make them feel even worse. So it is obvious that you will have a difficult conversation with this type of person if they are feeling like you're judging them. When you judge, you harm the empathy in this interaction. We are using empathy in a strategic way here, so then you can have a better quality of life. You can avoid the difficult conversation by practicing what we already detailed in the episode 245 of the Hello, Seiiti Arata series. It is important to remember that we all have our own stories, our own set of experiences, as well as our own ideas, our own beliefs. So the question is, what gives you the right to judge someone else's life? Do you understand that when you judge someone, they immediately feel like you're acting as if you are superior and they are inferior? How would you react in a situation like this? This is the practical problem with correcting people and pointing out their mistakes. Judging people generates a confrontational dynamic in the relationship, which is exactly what we want to avoid. Just for example, imagine that your uncle is telling a story about how he got into a bar fight when he was young. If you interrupt him before he finishes, and then you start patronizing him about how bad of a thing to do and he shouldn't have done what he did, chances are that pretty high that this conversation will go sour really quickly. So even if your gut feeling is to interrupt and judge, use this opportunity to train yourself to just observe. In this example, even if we don't agree with the uncle, it is possible to accept him for who he is. Because no one is perfect. We all have mistakes. When we stop judging people, there is a huge improvement in the dynamic of our conversations. So be open and honest in your conversations, accepting them as they are and allowing them to express their thoughts and feelings without judgment. Use an unconditional positive regard. This is an accepting and non-judgmental attitude towards another person, in which one's own feelings and evaluations are set aside in favor of understanding and valuing the other person's perspective. Think about it this way. First of all, the person who is talking to you wants to feel accepted and valued for who they are. They don't want to be judged or evaluated based on their actions or their beliefs. This is a necessary condition for them to feel confident that you are a friend, that you're not an enemy. You don't need to lie or to accept disrespect. Keep your boundaries safe. Countenance and unconditional positive regard do not mean accepting or even tolerating disrespectful or harmful behavior. They do involve accepting and valuing the person for who they are, but they don't mean blindly accepting or approving of their actions or their behaviors, especially if they're harmful or abusive towards oneself or to others. It doesn't mean also that you have to lie about your disagreement and for having a different opinion. Just like other people are allowed to have their own preferences and their ideas, so are you. So just like you should not judge other people, you should also not be judged. It is important to set boundaries and communicate clearly about what is acceptable behavior and what is not. Just practice observing and accepting that people are different. For that, you can also see episode number 185 of the Hello, Seiiti Arata series. Countenance and unconditional positive regard do not mean sacrificing your own well-being or allowing yourself to be mistreated. It is about finding a balance between acceptance and validation of the person you're talking to, while also setting and enforcing appropriate boundaries and holding them accountable for their actions. We all have different opinions and beliefs, so sometimes it can be hard to find common ground and understanding with those in your own family. But countenance is a powerful tool to help bridge gaps and promote positive interactions. It is a way to show respect for others without judgment or agreement. The good thing is that in positive psychology, you can find this and many other tools and techniques to have a better life. So let's take the time to actively listen and make sure that those we love feel heard without compromising our own boundaries. You can join me to learn more at arata.se/happiness.